Hi, this is Alexander Scott, a member of Lands, presenting this edition of our weekly updates. Before we continue, a reminder to please visit our website at jalands.org to view more party material, or follow us on social media. Our Twitter handle is @lands_JA. First, we will begin with an article from the Jamaica Observer titled, JPS Calls for Special Courts to Deal with Electricity Theft. Now, in this article, it is reported that the JPS has recently asked the government to assist in its effort to end electricity theft by creating a special court to deal specifically with persons who are bridging light. According to a company spokesperson, quote, JPS shoulders an important part of electricity theft. We pay for that as an organization, and we shouldn't. It's mostly outside of our control. We have spent an enormous amount of money, and we continue to devote a lot of resources, people, and money in installing a lot of technical devices that are necessary for a modern grid, but the technological solutions are not the solution to eliminate that, and they never will be. So technology is not the answer. End quote. As such, the company is demanding that the laws against bridging light be strengthened, and that these special courts be put in place to deal with the thieves of electricity. The company goes on to note that at any given moment, electricity is the most stolen product, and that no nation has been able to curb this problem without government assistance. Now, this action by JPS, that is the request for this special court to go after electricity thieves, is in my opinion a bad idea which needs to be shot down quickly. We all agree that electricity theft is a serious issue in the nation, but JPS knows just as well as the customers do that the losses based on electricity theft are not borne out by the company, but by the paying customers who invariably end up with larger bills in order to cover the cost of the stolen electricity. JPS is not suffering. They continue to make profits. Rather, it is the consumer who hurts because of this electricity theft, and this proposed court does not seem to be in their interest, that is, in the consumer's interest. It seems to be just another way for JPS to claw back even more money. Now again, it is true that electricity theft is an issue, but we all know that it's the politicians who, for the most part, enable and okay this. That when JPS goes into certain communities to take down the illegal electricity fixtures, political figures are called, and the operations come to an immediate end, and the illegal fixtures go right back up. Now, why should the people suffer and continue to suffer because of political mismanagement and because of an incompetent company which will not call out corruption that it claims directly affects it? But more than anything else, this action needs to be opposed because we know that in the end, this will be used to target poor people. And while I acknowledge that poor people steal electricity, it is also true that some of the largest thieves of electricity come from and reside in Uptown, and it is highly unlikely that this court is going to be aimed at them. A big reason why electricity is stolen, probably the primary reason why it is stolen, is because of the cost. The cost of this necessity is exorbitantly high, needlessly high, and it highlights again that the monopoly that JPS has must be broken up. Diversifying energy production and increasing the number of companies offering electricity is a needed start. Enforcement of payment and education of the need to pay are also important. Those are needed as well, but not in this way. Not in a way which we all know will be used against the poorest of society, and not in a fashion that does not net both the big and small thieves. If we're not going to be doing this even-handedly, let's not do it at all. Next, we move on to national security and an article in the Jamaica Gleaner titled, Come Clean on Shiprider, says Samuels. In this piece, noted attorney Bert Samuels blasted the United States as having a bad track record when it comes to dealing with Jamaican seafarers, and is insisting that the details of the new Shiprider agreement be made public. This comes after the Foreign Minister, Johnson Smith, announced that Jamaica and the United States governments have finalized new protocols surrounding the Shiprider agreement. These protocols, the minister went on to state, will not be made available to the public. The updates to the agreements surrounding Shiprider, they've come about following a general outcry from the Jamaican people after late last year some of our fishermen were wrongly held by the US Coast Guard under the said Shiprider agreement after they were suspected of shipping drugs to the United States. Now, we at Lands would like to see this go one step further than simply making the Shiprider agreement publicly. We would like to see the total ending and termination of this agreement, which on the face of it is a clear violation of the rights of the Jamaican citizen, allowing the United States to not only interdict our nationals, to lock up our nationals in our waters, but to also hold them and try them under United States laws after the Jamaican government agrees to this. This deal is totally one-sided. We have no hope or ability of interdicting or arresting United States citizens or crafts which transport guns into our territory, and it is no secret that since the inception of this deal, drug trafficking from Jamaica has increased, keeping in line with the trend of a boom in the drug trade wherever the DEA and the Coast Guard enter. Such agreements do nothing to secure our shores. The facts are that it is the United States, primarily with its insatiable appetite for drugs, which is fueling this trade. And the truth again is that it is the United States, I say, with their lax gun laws, that are allowing the mass shipments of guns into the region, that is Latin America and the Caribbean. The security of that region, Latin America and the Caribbean, is something which must be looked after by members of that said region. We cannot leave it to outsiders who do not have our interest at heart, let alone our best interest at heart. And we can't leave it to people who use such programs as the Shiprider Agreement and other intelligence sharing agreements to undermine governments not to their own liking. Let us cut the knot which ties us to this failed security measure, one which sells out our own people, and instead begin looking at regional ways of solving what is really a regional issue. Finally, we end with foreign affairs and events in our sister nation, Haiti. In the early hours of Wednesday, the 7th of July, the president of Haiti, Jovenel Moïse, and his wife were assassinated by armed gunmen. The assassination of Moïse came after he illegally dissolved the Haitian parliament and, in a clear breach of the constitution, refused to demit office at the beginning of this year. His administration was marked by serious corruption, repeated abuses of power, and the wanton and wholesale murder of the Haitian citizens who have been protesting his rule since almost day one. We at Lands stand with the Haitian people in these turbulent times. Mr. Moïse was a dictator, but his death in such a barbarous fashion raises many questions which need to be answered, such as where were his armed security guards, which were paid for by the United States Embassy, and why were Colombian mercenaries involved in this operation, especially after it was reported that the chief of the United States Southern Command was in Colombia, allegedly plotting to assassinate the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. These questions need to be answered. This action, this assassination, which has further escalated what is already a dangerous situation in Haiti, must not be used as a pretext to occupy that country. And it has already been mooted by some members of the OAS, an organization which is nothing but a tool for American imperialism, to go in and occupy Haiti. Now, in case we've forgotten, Haiti has already had the unfortunate experience of being occupied by leading OAS members, particularly the United States, and that those interventions have directly led to where Haiti is today. The situation in Haiti, which sees a tiny elite backed up by the United States and Canada terrorizing the population, must be ended. The Haitian people must be allowed to govern themselves and benefit from their nation's immense riches. We call on CARICOM to say no to any OAS intervention, to any United States intervention, to any European intervention, and instead take the lead on this matter so as to ensure that Haiti enters a much-needed period of stability where its people can decide its future, and where these important decisions are not left to some outside actors or to the usual band of wealthy families which only wish to see the masses of Haiti exploited. Once again, this is Alexander Scott, a member of LANS, and you have been listening to our weekly updates.